You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button.
There's some roster attrition at LSU today. Two players announced they won't be back. One of them is Mason Lunsford. You remember this story. Mason Lunsford played a bunch at Maryland. So he's a kid from Iowa, is an offensive lineman, went to Maryland and played in he started 23 games for Maryland during his time there in his sophomore and junior seasons. And transferred to LSU, and then today announced that he's retiring from football. So not entering the portal, like he's done playing football. And that's probably a smart decision. I think it was pretty evident, and I sincerely don't mean this to be critical at all. LSU needed some depth on the offensive line, and so Lunsford had played a lot of football. But it was pretty evident early in camp last year that he wasn't going to be a factor as far as as a starter or even in the rotation. So, it was a backup piece this year and got to be a part of the team, and that's great. He's going to call it a career, so that frees up a roster spot for LSU. And then the other, the other bit of news that came today was Gregory Clayton, who announced via social media that he is headed off to the NFL draft. So the draft deadline for underclassmen to declare has come and gone, but Clayton's not an underclassman. He's draft eligible. So he didn't have to declare for the draft. So, but he did. I think part of this, it's kind of like Jordan Jefferson, the defensive lineman, put out his Twitter post, and Andre Sam put out his Twitter post. I mean, those guys were out of eligibility. So, I mean, if you want your moment on social media and put out the post, a thank you to the fans and the school, that's totally cool and respectable. I get it. But I think what you're seeing here with LSU more than anything is kind of natural attrition that needs to happen. So this is very unofficial, okay? But I got to thinking about this, after we talked to Shea Dixon yesterday, and we were talking about the numbers, because LSU is not done. Like they have got to add. I mean, we've talked about, right, wants, needs, and musts. Well, they've got to add a starting caliber corner. They've got to add interior defensive line help. So, be it guys currently in the portal, or if they wait until spring, when the spring portal window opens after spring practice, and your depth chart, people get a better sense of where they sit, what's there, what's available. LSU's got to add there. So this is, again, very, very, very unofficial. But I went through the roster today and counted returning scholarship players, and I counted 55. Again, very unofficial, because you have guys sometimes that are scholarship athletes when they show up on campus, right? You sign out of high school as a scholarship athlete. There's some guys like Josh Williams, for example, who was a walk-on initially but is now on scholarship. So there very well could be, as LSU was short on scholarship numbers, there could be walk-ons that they awarded a scholarship to. So does that make sense? You see the videos all the time where coach awards a walk-on a scholarship. Well, that's not one of your original counters, which used to be the 25 cap, but guys that are occupying a scholarship now. Anyway, so very unofficial, but I counted 55. You've signed 28 to a letter of intent in December. So 55, 28. You have one commitment currently, Dominic McKinley, that's going to sign in February. And you've already taken 6 transfers. So the unofficial 55 returning, the 28 letters of intent, the one commit, Dominic McKinley, and the 6 transfers puts LSU at 90. 9-0. Remember, you can only have 85 scholarship players. So minimum, with my very unofficial count here, they've got to drop 5 more. They've got to drop 5 players just to be at the 85. If they want to add more, corner, defensive line, whatever it may be, then they've got to drop more scholarship players. So You can call it what you want. It's often, to make it sound polite, referred to as processing people out of the program. As a random aside, it's also another reason why I am very much in favor of guys being able to transfer as many times as they want, because scholarships are a one-year commitment and you can be processed out of a program at any time. And so if the coach, staff, or what athletic department essentially kicks you out, why shouldn't you be able to leave on your own volition? So again, I said it's another random aside, but they'll get there. They have to get there. So all this is just to say, you're going to see more players leave the LSU program between now and the start of the 2024 season, because you have to. You can't carry 90 scholarship players. And they're going to add more out of the portal, I would assume. I don't know how many more, but just to be within that compliance, you'll have to drop at least 5 guys, process, purge, and maybe that's medical retirement. Maybe that's someone like Mason Lunsford deciding he's not going to play football anymore. Maybe that's guys after spring entering the portal when they realize where they are on the depth chart. And look, there's some pretty obvious positions where you can look at and see where LSU's heavy. Look, it's odd to say, but they are heavy in the defensive backfield. Their numbers are heavy. Now, they have guys that necessarily haven't played at a super high level, but you could probably afford to lose some guys in the defensive backfield. Receiver is probably another position. I mean, you've brought in 2 guys out of the portal, and you return Kyron Lacey, Chris Hilton, Aaron Anderson, and then all the freshmen from a year ago. Jalen Brown's already left. He's at Florida State now. But that's another spot where you could probably, shed some weight. So it's unenviable, but it's part of roster management. Brian Kelly and his staff will have to do it. So Mason Lunsford and Gregory Clayton both leaving. Lunsford retiring from football. Gregory Clayton going to take his shot at the NFL. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.